Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
What are the guidelines when considering schools for one's children to admit them into a school, or to find an appropriate school, Islamically?
What are the guidelines with respect to finding, to choosing a school for one's children? This is a big topic, and it's a big consideration, but the most important thing is, and it's not just a hyperbole, but the education of your child is not a school's responsibility. It is your responsibility as the parent. Right? So you have to understand that as a first step. And the education of your child, right, needs to be understood that education is not accumulated learning. Right? Education is not accumulated learning, whether in a worldly sense or in a religious sense, in both. As a parent, you are responsible for your child's education. And the education is not just accumulated learning. Education is that which builds human capacity. Right? So, Islamically, the ulama mention that education has three aspects. And this is beautifully discussed. If you are given to reading, this is discussed very beautifully by Sayyid Naqib al-Attas, who's a Malaysian scholar, intellectual, and philosopher. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf referred to him as arguably the greatest living Muslim philosopher. He's written in two of his very influential works, Islam and Secularism, and the more challenging work, A Prolegomena to the Metaphysics of Islam, talks about the concept of education in Islam. It's a very seminal piece that he wrote. In that, and sort of contextualizing much of what has been written before, that education has three aspects. As a parent, you're responsible for each of these with respect to your child. There's tarbiyah, ta'deeb, and ta'aleem. Tarbiyah, is the upbringing of your child. That's education in the broadest sense. And tarbiyah is the root sense from which the word Rabb comes. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings things up gradually, stage by stage, towards what is ultimately good for them. Right? So tarbiyah, this idea of you can call it the upbringing of the child, right? Or education in the sense of edification, right? It is to have a broader plan for the child, goals for the child, right? And a sense of how you will achieve those goals gradually, stage by stage. Right? So that's sort of the meta education, the bigger picture, what you have in mind for the child. And in that you have to consider the balance. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. O Lord, grant us in this life true good, and in the next life true good, while prioritizing ultimate good over limited worldly good, but striving to uphold both. Right? So that's one element. Right? Then what are your goals as a parent? What do you want the child to achieve in their worldly success and in their religious success? You should have goals with respect to both. And very often we'll say, well, we want them to do, okay, I want them to be a practicing Muslim. Now let's talk about their worldly education. I said, no, that's not That's not sound. That's one element. The other element is what's called ta'deeb, which can be translated in a limited and limiting sense as disciplining the child, but this is the inculcation of adab. The inculcating of adab, which is, and really all of religion is adab, right? And there's some beautiful articles on the reality of adab by Sayyid Naqib al-Attas on the Seekers Hub site. If you look for ATTAS, Attas, adab, Islam, you'll find a number of beautiful articles on the concept of adab in Islam. But adab is the concern and capacity, the concern, attitude, and capacity that enables the person who has it to respond in the right way to each situation, right? So, and ta'deeb, right, instilling of adab, is the ongoing education of the child. But it has a purpose, which is one is striving to inculcate the right attitude, the right concern, the right conduct. Right? So, and that's how we approach the discipline of a child. It is not simply punitive, right? But it is so that we make them gain better capacity to make better choices and better responses. That's the second aspect of the education. Right? There's the big picture, right? And how one will, the stages by which one will get to the educational goals of the child, right? How you want them to become. There's the instilling of adab, and the third component is the ta'lim, is the imparting of knowledge. Right? The most important knowledge is how will you impart the essential religious knowledge in context of what your goals are for the child and with your vision for the child being a person of adab, of right conduct in their worldly conduct and in their religious conduct. So this is and in that context, schooling plays a certain limited part. Right? What schooling you choose covers a little bit of the imparting of worldly knowledge. And there may be some discipline that the child may gain from it. Some worldly aspirations they may gain from the schooling. But if you consider the three dimensions of your educational responsibility as a parent, what school you send them to has a relatively limited role in some of the worldly dimensions of that. But so one has to look at the environment of the school, the teachers, the educational method that they uphold. How are relationships between teachers and student? Is there a nurturing environment? And not all schools are the same in that. And also, what is the broader environment? Right? What kind of company will your child have? And whatever educational environment your child is in, it is critical that you be an active parent in their schooling and more importantly, in their education defined more broadly. We have many resources on Seekers on parenting and children's education. We have a course on Islamic parenting and more than one lesson set. If you go under audio lesson sets, more than one lesson set on parenting and many things. If you look for parenting in the Seekers Hub playlist on YouTube, we have many blog articles and answers. So there's many resources, alhamdulillah, on seekershub.org with respect to parenting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate for us to be the best of parents and the best of children, and to have the best of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to pursue the best of means towards raising those regarding whom we can say, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. The call of the righteous is, رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. The righteous servants of Allah say, O Lord, grant us, as the Quran tells us, O Lord, grant us from our spouses and our offspring a joy for our eyes, and make us the very foremost of the people of taqwa.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.